Hello, fellow readers. It is the Rambling Collector here with my first ever ramble. So, I decided to go ahead and start off this whole series with one of my personal favorite books from the Warhammer 40,000 series. Now, for those of you who don't know, Warhammer 40,000 is a hardcore science fiction tabletop strategy game where you pick one of the many factions within Warhammer and you get to choose what kind of troops you want to build, deploy, and paint for your own armies to command against other players, which personally, if that already wasn't awesome enough, I want to talk about the very massive lore that this series contains. And when I say massive, I mean as in hundreds upon hundreds of books, ranging from multiple different short stories all the way to multi-book mini-series based on many different characters throughout the series, as well as many different factions. And within Warhammer, there are many different factions, ranging from the Imperium of Man to the many different Chaos factions that they face. The Imperium are the quote-unquote good guys of the series. I say that because everyone in Warhammer is evil in one shade or form or shape. Because on one side you have the Imperium of Man, who is a bunch of religious zealots who hunt down and face any race of aliens, ranging from the monstrous green orcs to the Eldar and the Drukhari, who are the equivalent of science fiction elven people, both elves and dark elves, respectively. And then, of course, you also have the many renegade Astartes, aka Chaos Space Marines. These are Space Marines who have fallen to the realm of Chaos, serving the four different Chaos gods of Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh. Now, some of my personal favorite stories within Nexus, that is the name of the book that I'm covering, have involved many of the different factions within here. And Nexus is a good way to start if you really want to dive into the lore of Warhammer, because Nexus contains many different short stories about each of the different factions, ranging from the different Space Marine chapters to the Imperial Guard, aka the basic military of this universe, as well as the Chaos Space Marines, the Eldari, the Drukhari, the Orcs, the Necrons, aka skeleton automatons, as well as, well, there's many different alien factions, and if you're interested, I definitely recommend checking this book out, especially if you really want to get a taste for what Warhammer is all about, because I kid you not, this series is dark, beyond all compare, because there is no good or bad, there is no strictly black and white in this series. Everyone, in one way or another, is evil to an extent. So, some of my personal favorite stories in Nexus have revolved around the Dark Angels, the Blood Angels, the Space Wolves, and the Chaos Space Marines. The Space Wolves are the equivalents of Space Vikings within Warhammer, as in all melee, they charge in, full beards, war trophies, all that stuff. Now, the short story here is called Kraken, and Kraken involves one simple space wolf going out to hunt down this massive Kraken-like beast that has been taking out all these different platforms on a water planet. So he hunts this thing down and takes this thing on single-handedly, and does one of the most awesome things I have ever read. He takes this thing on with a sword, and an energy pistol, along with 2 grenades. Manages to completely destroy this thing, but winds up in intensive care. He gets visited by his bosses, and the only things he asks is, "Did you preserve the head?" And that immediately sold me on the Space Wolves as pure badasses. Now to move on. The Blood Angel story really fascinated me as well, as the Blood Angels are the equivalents of vampires in Warhammer. And the story revolving here in Nexus revolves around a space marine Blood Angel having to hunt down one of his brothers after they've gone completely crazy. You see, and it was a really sad and really well done story. It left me honestly wanting more from the Blood Angels. Needless to say, I will be finding one of their stories in the future whenever I get my hands on it. But now, let's talk about my personal favorites factions in Warhammer, the Chaos Space Marines. What really hooked me was the character of Fabius Bile. For those who don't know, Fabius Bile is the equivalent of your typical mad scientist character within Warhammer, but cranked up to 11. Like, he does major experiments, bringing about new species of human or whatever other evil thing he comes across. It will end up in his lab table. And the story of him and Fabius Bile in Nexus details of how he is trying to discover the secrets of the Eldari, or to figure out a way to achieve immortality to stop his rotting body, and fully end his suffering days. And it was a really good story that had me hooked from start to finish, and I really hope it does the same for all of you as well, if this ramble has interested any of you in checking out this book. So for those of you who are interested, feel free to pick it up if you just want at least a taste of Warhammer 40,000, or to anyone who is even a major fan of science fiction. Anyways, thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a good day.